Malacanang insists the Philippines has filed diplomatic protests against China on the reported presence of its vessels near the Pag-asa Island. Manila Water releases list of areas to be given full bill waiver. The National Power Corporation expresses alarm over Binga Dam's current state. And Provincial bus operator says a terminal closure in EDSA would cause inconvenience for commuters, especially those coming from Southern Luzon. Good evening. The Philippines has already filed diplomatic protest to China on the reported presence of Chinese vessels near the Pag-asa Island. Meanwhile, Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Zhao Jianhua, says Filipino fishermen can go fishing as usual in Panatag Shoal. Rosalie Cos explains why.
Malacanang tagged a report there were 617 Chinese vessels circling Pag-asa Island exaggerated. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said according to a report from the Western Command, from January to March 2019, there were 275 Chinese vessels seen near the island.
They're just stationary there. Kumisa na one day, kumisa 1 week. Wala naman daw ginagawa, naka-standby lang.
The palace said the government has already filed a diplomatic protest to China on the said issue. Panelo said the report is a cause for concern because it has something to do with national security.
I understand we have already issued the diplomatic protest per the Western Command. The DFA has already made the diplomatic protest over it. That incident on the so-called vessels being stationed there,
Chinese Ambassador Zhao Jianhua said those Chinese vessels were carrying Chinese fishermen and they are still investigating if these vessels were circling the island or not. Meanwhile, the Chinese official denied reports that Filipino fishermen were banned from fishing in Panatag Shoal. This after the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources warned the fishermen not to go to Panatag Shoal for the meantime to prevent tension from escalating since there were reports that Chinese Coast Guard harassed Filipino fishermen.
Are concerned of the livelihoods of fishermen from both sides. I think if they can fish in the areas where they can catch fish, they can go. But there are some concerns from each side that how far they can go and to what extent they can go near to the islands and reefs that we have people there. So there are certain kind of limits that I think both sides are observing. In general, fishing can go on as usual.
These issues on the West Philippine Sea were some of the things discussed when Chinese Ambassador Zhao paid a courtesy call to Secretary Panelo in Malacanang this afternoon. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Millions of Manila Water customers may receive discounted bills or will not be paying their water bills for the month of March, which will appear on their April water bill. Monoxon tells us why.
The promised one-time bill waiver of Manila Water begins today. Through this waiver, the water bills of the water concessionaires, millions of customers affected by the recent water crisis may be waived or discounted. The said program is Manila Water's response to appease their customers who suffered from the month-long water woes. All Manila Water customers who lost water supply for 24 hours in a week or more will not be paying their March water bill. But if a customer did not experience a 24-hour water shortage, they will only get a discount in the first 10 cubic meters equivalent to 135 pesos. Severely affected barangays include Addition Hills, Barangka Drive, Plainview, Highway Hills, and Hulo in Mandaluyong City, Barangay Capitolio, Bagong Ilog, and Oranbo in Pasig City, Upper Bikutan in Taguig City, and Barangay Mambog in Binangonan, Rizal. Barangays included on the list are validated by Manila Water, though there are some others which remain unannounced. Manila Water has clarified there are places which are severely affected but not the entire barangay.
Kaya natin binavalidate, kaya hindi natin mailabas yun. Kasi baka mamaya isipin ng mga tao na taga-tandang Sora ako, so wala ako dapat na bayaran. Hindi ganon.
For Juliet Pereira, who lives in Barangay Mambog in Binangonan, Rizal, Manila Water's one-time bill waiver is not enough compared with what they suffered during the days when they had no water supply.
Kaya hanggang ngayon, nag-iipon pa rin kami ng tubig kasi hindi pa talaga totally na may tubig. Minsan wala pa rin tubig.
Alan Mesa, another Mambog Rizal resident, shared that a large water tank is not enough when they experience water shortage.
May tangke kami, kaso 3 days lang ang duration nun, ubos na rin dahil 5 kaming gumagamit dito nung mawalan, intay na lang kami ng truck nila.
Lourdes Ocampo, who owns a deep well, allowed her neighbors to use it amid the water crisis.
Hindi ko pinapabayaran. Kasi siyempre tulong mo na lang yan dahil kung ako naman mawalan, nakikiano rin naman ako. Ganon.
Water cannot easily reach Barangay Mambog because it is located in an elevated area. Aside from the water service interruption in some areas in Rizal, residents also complain about the heavy traffic caused by Manila Water's pipe-laying project. It involves an 800-meter pipe laid along Marcos Highway in Taytay, Angono, and Binangonan. This is the pipe that will supply water to Manila Water customers coming from the Cardona Water Treatment Facility. Manila Water will target to finish the project this week. For queries, Manila Water may be reached through their hotline number 1627. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Binangonan, Rizal.
The National Power Corporation, or NPC, has expressed worry over the condition of Binga Dam in Benguet Province. Grace Casin tells us why.
At approximately 31 kilometers or just an hour and a half drive from Baguio City lies the Binga Dam in Binga, Itogon, Benguet. It was constructed by the Philippine government for the purpose of power generation and flood control. The main components of the dam are a zoned earth rockfill embankment, a 94.5 meter long spillway crest, and 12.5 meter wide and 12.0 meter high diversion tunnels. The National Power Corporation, or NPC, is worried of the water level in the reservoir. When it was commissioned in 1960, the Binga Dam originally impounded a volume of 95 million cubic meters of water. But this year, it can store only up to 18 million cubic meters. This is due to the boulders and gravel that developed into a delta, with a growing backwater effect in the Binga Reservoir.
Over the years, ang dam natin napupuno na siya ng sediment, yung mga naaanod na mga putik, mga buhangin, graba, naiipon siya doon sa ilalim ng dam. So ang tubig nandun lang siya sa ibabaw, pero wala na siyang storage sa capacity.
Cyclones and typhoons cause major floods and landslides that increase water inflow and sediment load in the rivers. In combination with earthquakes, the sediment load in the rivers can be very high. By 1986, the reservoir had lost 35% of its original capacity. In 2015, the storage volume was just 21 million cubic meters, equivalent to 22% of its original storage capacity. In the Binga Dam sits the Binga Hydroelectric Plant, one of the oldest hydroelectric facilities in the Philippines. 59 years since its construction and after several rehabilitations, it can generate up to 132 megawatts of power. But now, it can only supply 130 megawatts to Luzon grid according to NPC. Should the water storage capacity of Binga Dam continue to decline, Binga Hydroelectric Plant can produce even less power.
Kung naka-design siya for 100 megawatts, baka pag-generate siya 100 megawatts, pero sandali lang, baka 1-2 oras lang, ganun. Although yung capacity niya, ma-attend pa rin niya yung capacity niya, pero short time na lang ang delivery niya ng kuryente.
The National Power Corporation said they are studying if dredging operations can be done to remove deposits of sediments.
Ang number one na problema sa dredging, lalo na kung dam ang i-dredge natin, is yung location kung saan natin ilalagay yung mga dredge materials. Dali natin sa Pangasinan at maluwag ang doon at maraming mga malalalim na area. But how much would it cost? No? dadali mo, i-deliver mo yung mga materials doon. So, that would be very costly. At ang mangyayari nga dyan, sabi nga ng mga eksperto, mas mainam pa gumawa ka na ng bagong dam kaysa mag-dredge ka ng isang lumang dam.
Binga Dam is not affected by El Nino. It has a water level of 572 meters at present, 6 meters above its critical level of 566 meters. The NPC said they are conducting regular inspections to ensure the dam operates well despite its present condition. Binga Dam can last for 30 years more, the National Power Corporation said. Grace Castin, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
As schools close and the vacation period begins, the police will intensify security measures in public areas. Nina Armilio tells us why.
The Philippine National Police or PNP leadership has directed all police personnel nationwide to intensify monitoring operations in bus terminals, airports, and seaports as the summer break begins. PNP Chief Police General Oscar Albayalde said that an influx of vacation makers is expected beginning this month, especially those headed for their provinces. The police will set up police assistance desks at terminals and deploy road safety marshals on major roads.
Increase foot mobile patrols, establish police assistance desks, and deploy road safety marshals in convergence points, particularly in bus terminals, seaports, train stations, recreational areas including highways, main thoroughfares, and crime-prone areas to ensure maximum police presence.
The PNP chief has also directed cops to secure vital installations as they are possible targets of lawless elements.
Secure vital installations and implement target hardening measures in public infrastructures, transportation terminals, commercial establishments, airports.
Even the tourist police have also been ordered to strictly monitor famous destinations in the country as illegal drug syndicates may take advantage of the crowd in public places. The PNP also advises the public to lock the doors and windows of their houses if they are headed for far places during the vacation. They may also ask their neighbors to keep watch of their houses to avoid break-ins. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
American power couple Beyonce and JayZ dominated the NAACP Image Awards on Saturday, with Beyonce winning the Entertainer of the Year award and her husband winning the President's Award. JayZ appeared to make a dig at U.S. President Donald Trump when he first received his award.
President's Award. So I think I'm going to start by saying a quote by our very humble and kind-hearted president.
U.S. Representative Maxine Waters also caused a stir as she was presented with the NAACP Chairman's Award. The best film went to Black Panther. Letitia Wright won the Breakthrough Performance in a Motion Picture, and a Black Panther himself, Chadwick Boseman, picked up the Best Actor in a Motion Picture. The Best Actress went to Amandla Stenberg for The Hate U Give. Other winners include Neo for the inaugural Black and Positively Golden Award, and he took his children up on stage with him to accept the award. A French artist reinvents the Louvres Pyramid in Paris on the iconic landmark's 30th anniversary. Mirasol Abogadil tells us why.
The iconic Louvres Pyramid appeared to emerge from the abyss on Friday in an optical illusion created to mark its 30th anniversary. The project was masterminded by French artist JR, who previously collaborated with the museum to camouflage the 70-foot-high pyramid in 2016.
Pourquoi et pourquoi pas?
Why? Why not? Why not reinvent and rethink places?
Why not wake up in your own city and allow yourself to reinvent and rethink it, to look at it in a different way? As an artist, it's that madness, that utopia which allows you to move forward and take people along with you and to create a moment.
After 3 days of work with a team of hundreds of volunteers, the project was unveiled on large screens projected around the courtyard. Visitors could see the full effect of the optical illusion only visible from the museum's roof. People will be able to observe the art at ground level until April 1. The pyramid, which was hugely controversial at its inception for its unconventional architecture, has now become one of the defining landmarks of Paris. Mirasol Abugadil, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Philippine National Police and the Philippine Army found an ISIS flag in a joint operation in Mindanao. Leah Ilagan will tell us why.
Authorities have seized an ISIS flag from civilian brothers named Altero Carrieda and Greg Carrieda in a joint operation by the police and the military in the Bagao, Cagayan. According to a Philippine National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group or PNP-CIDG report on Monday. The brothers are allegedly members of the Northern Jihadist group, which encourages members and plans to seek allegiance with ISIS. The authorities seized a 45 caliber pistol, a 9mm pistol, 2 caliber 38 firearms, and 2 explosives. CIDG Director, Police Major General Amador Corpus said they will launch follow-up operations to determine how many members the Northern Jihadist group has.
Pero at this early stage, the Armed Forces of the Philippines is working on this group na para maliit pa lang hindi na pinapalaki. That's why inoperate ng Philippine National. It's a project of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. But initially, identified sila sa ISIS group. That's why we are validating it kasi may mga ISIS flag nga na.
The PNP leadership assures, however, there is no reason for the public to be alarmed because the PNP is on top of the situation.
Dahil sabi ko nga itong mga grupo lang naman ito gusto lang magpakilala sa tingin namin no. So far wala naman sila nagagawang hostilities or atrocities doon sa lugar na yon. Kaya nga this is one of the preventive measures that we do together with the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Meanwhile, the PNP-CIDG have also arrested 168 individuals for hiding loose firearms. Those arrested include 145 civilians and 23 local government officials, including incumbent Tubahon Dinagat Island Mayor Romeo Vargas and incumbent Tagbina Surigao del Sur Vice Mayor Antonio Adlao. In such operations, 248 firearms were confiscated, which include 137 high-powered firearms and 111 low-powered firearms. Authorities also seized 34 explosives, 307 magazines, and 6,605 ammunitions. The CIDG director said they want to avoid the use of private armed groups by politicians in the May elections. He added that more politicians are subject to their surveillance and are targets of their next operations.
Actually, we have more than 200 search warrants approved. Kaya lang mga 30% ang nag-negative pero 70% ang positive. There will be another week-long operation that will be conducted by the PNP-CIDG comes prior to the conduct of the midterm elections.
Those caught by CIDG will be facing cases such as violation of Republic Act 10591 or the Comprehensive Law on Firearms and Ammunition. Leah Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The police and military operation that resulted in the death of 14 individuals in Negros Oriental is legitimate, Malacanang said on Monday. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said this after human rights groups earlier tagged as a massacre the operations against loose firearms over the weekend. Negros Oriental police, who said of 14 who allegedly resisted arrest and fought authorities, were suspected hitmen and supporters of the New People's Army and were allegedly involved in several foiled assassination plots against the police and the military. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo also denied allegations that the government is now targeting farmers who are directly linked to communist rebels.
The people subject of a search warrant have been identified as suspects in certain ambushes, assassinations, assassination attempts. So it's police operation and backed up by documents. And the courts believe in them. And that's why they issue these warrants.
The Commission on Human Rights said on Sunday that it is now investigating the recent deaths of 14 farmers, noting that claims of resisting arrest need to be tried before courts to ensure that there are no lapses and ascertain if the circumstances really warrant the offense from the police. The Department of Agriculture asks the assistance of the Philippine Competition Commission to look into some issues in the onion industry. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The Philippine Competition Commission, or PCC, has accepted the request of the Department of Agriculture to look into surfacing issues on onion. This is in connection with the alleged cartel of onion cold storages in which cold storage owners favor big-time dealers than local farmers. Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol said that cold storages play a vital role for farmers so that the shelf life of their produce can be prolonged, allowing them to sell onions during lean months. The PCC will assess if the country has enough cold storages as there is oversupply of onion.
Ang tinitingnan lang natin din, Ray, ay yung pag-decide niya ay dahil business decision o dahil mayroon siyang collusion sa ibang players sa merkado na tanggihan mo yan para ako lang.
After the assessment, PCC can move to investigate if the situation needs their mandate to enter the scene. In FAQ Martin, Quezon City, the price of onion is only 40 pesos per kilogram, which is way below the 100 pesos per kilogram last December.
Siguro oversupply. Hindi naman yan bababa kung kulang sa supply, di ba?
PCC said that an act of violation of the competition law corresponds to a fine of 100 to 250 million pesos for an administrative case or with imprisonment of up to 7 years for a criminal case. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Parents and the youth are encouraged to get involved in martial arts. Mirasol Abogodil will tell us why.
The third Inter-School Youth Martial Arts Games opened yesterday in Bonifacio Javier National High School in Mandaluyong City with various students from different schools. The games aim to teach discipline and self-defense to the youth.
Actually, napakahalaga, no? Kasi sa pagiging isang martial artist mo, matututo kang disiplinahin yung sarili mo. Then, mababawasan yung pagkikipagbarkada, nakakaroon ka na ng sariling yung self-discipline, and then yung mahabang pasensya, and yung respeto sa lahat ng tao sa paligid.
Through martial arts, the youth can also be kept away from the adverse effects of computers and online video games.
Kaysa mag-gadget, maglaro ng computer, mag-ML, doon nakakasira ng yung kalusugan yun eh. Makakatawan ng tao, pag-iisip ng isang bata. Dito, pag nag-martial arts ka, doon mamotivate kang madisiplin sarili mo, maiiwas sa bish.
Like mga anak ko, lagi na lang sa computer or sa cellphone, they have time para maalis sila yung sa paggamit ng mga techie, and then sa karate daw sila yung ibang oras sila na isasama nila sa martial arts. At the same time, physically nagiging fit sila.
Nagkaroon ng time yung mga bata na hindi humawak ng gadget, kahit anong gadget. So habang nandito sila, training, nag-start kami from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Yung mga bata, bawal humawak ng gadget. So talagang ang concentration nila is yung pagka-training nila ng martial arts.
John Gabriel and John Benedict are among the students who are undergoing martial arts training.
Para maligtas ko yung mga kapatid ko tsaka magka-self-defense. Para matuto po at iwasan po yung mga
Magulo po. Naiwasan yung kapahamakan po.
Children who are encouraged to perform martial arts have the chance not just to improve their physique, but also their social skills and self-discipline. Mirasol Abugadil, UNTV, News and Rescue.
20 guests were treated to a dinner fit for Midas with decadent 24-karat gold-covered dishes. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
French diners on Thursday dig into 24-karat gold-laced dishes prepared by French artist and performer Frédéric Leself. Curators of Vanity's Gallery in Paris, Thierry Tezier and Victoria Zong, said they wanted to critique the gold market, but also show the importance of the material in contemporary art. Under sheets of gold was a simple menu, including chicken and hard-boiled eggs, vegetable crisps, spray-painted with gold, and gold-covered pastries for dessert. Leself has been preparing and hosting golden dinners since 2004. She was particularly interested in the transitions of the art she created, she said.
Throughout the dinner, we're going to ask ourselves why we're eating gold and where it's going to disappear to, how it's going to disappear. Gold comes from the earth and we know that we can't create it.
The guests dined and celebrated extravagance and exuberance as part of a wider exhibition at the Vanity's Gallery.
I mean, it doesn't really have a taste. It feels decadent. I'll put it that way. I mean, there's people starving in the world, and here I am eating gold.
The dinner was priced at €40 per person. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
And to finally complete the most significant news for the day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. The Provincial Bus Operators Association of the Philippines believe that the plan to transfer provincial bus terminals along EDSA will become a burden to passengers once they are transferred to Valenzuela City and Santa Rosa, Laguna. Jo Anano tells us why.
Some commuters are complaining that they have to travel farther and that it would cost them more once provincial bus terminals located in EDSA get transferred to Valenzuela and Santa Rosa, Laguna. Aside from this, transfer to city buses would be difficult for them, especially if they have large and heavy baggage. These are some of the reasons why the Provincial Bus Operators Association in the Philippines is arguing against the bus terminal transfer from EDSA to the new interim terminals. Alex Yage, the president of the association, said that the transfer of the terminals would only be a burden to thousands of passengers.
Yung mga city bus at saka UV Express na lilipatan, hindi siya, wala siyang baggage compartment para paglagyan ng mga bagaheng ito ng mga pasahero galing ng probinsya.
Yage also said that interim terminals have a limited space, so provincial buses cannot use it as a garage where they usually conduct the regular maintenance of their bus units.
Sa tingin namin, pwedeng gamiting terminal pero hindi siya sapat kung doon na rin maggagarahe yung mga bus. Doon na rin aayusin ang maintenance ng mga bus doon sa mga terminal na ito.
Some bus drivers and conductors think the same way, adding that the transfer would only worsen the traffic situation in Valenzuela and Santa Rosa, Laguna.
Hindi po kami papabor doon kasi po iniisip po namin yung mga commuters sa dami po ng volume. Araw-araw na lumuluwas. Kawawa naman po yung mga commuters na nag-aabol ng oras.
Sa akin po, maliit po yun dahil maraming mga sasakyan na mga bus na galing norte. Hindi kaya. Traffic ko dahil isa lang mo pinapasok ng toll gate na maliit pa. Ngayon nga, sobrang na rin traffic ngayon doon eh.
Most of the passengers are also not in favor of the transfer.
Hindi ako okay doon kasi napakaraming pasahero na mahihirapan. Unang-una, doble gastos yun dahil dalawang sakay at ang travel time medyo mas tatagal pa dahil lilipat ka eh.
Ako po, nagbo-boarding house po ako and then taga Nueva Ecija. Kung pupunta pa ako from San Andres, Bukid to Valenzuela, napakalayo.
Kung mga galing oro ito, pupunta pa ako ng Bulacan eh. Pupunta pa ng Valenzuela. Tapos, yan layo na nabiyahin ko.
Buti sana kung meron kami sariling sasakyan para didiretang na lang kami doon.
Hindi po. Mahirap din magsakay ng bus pa Valenzuela dahil punuan din pag-rasar.
Malayo. Dito ang pinakamalapit sa Nabalityas kami
Ma'am, malayo. Parang ayaw ko, ma'am. Kasi katulad sa akin, visible ako. Parang may kuwan ako itong isang pa ako. Para sa akin lang, hindi ko gusto. Dito, ang gusto ko dito sa Cubao. Para isang biyahe lang.
Hindi po. Bakit po? Gawa po ng katulad po namin, may dala po akong 2 bata. Tapos ang gamit po, hindi po namin kayang dalhin.
Hindi po kasi sanay na dito yung tao.
Okay lang po. Yun ang nararap na ng dito sa Metro Manila ang traffic. Okay na rin po yun.
With this, the Provincial Bus Operators Association is asking the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA to look into this proposal carefully and to consider all the factors that will affect the riding public. The MMDA is set to conduct a dry run after the long holiday so they can see the actual effect once provincial bus terminals were transferred. The agency is targeting to completely transfer the provincial bus terminals from EDSA in June. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Meanwhile, a video of a traffic law enforcer from Parañaque City is making rounds online as he threatened a motorist due to a traffic violation. Rosa De Cos will tell us why.
This video that shows a traffic law enforcer arguing with a motorist has surfaced on social media. It can be seen that the traffic law enforcer confiscated the key of the apprehended motorcycle rider. In the middle of their heated argument, the traffic law enforcer threatened the motorist if he continued to take footage of the incident. The traffic law enforcer on the viral video is said to be a member of the Parañaque Traffic Management Bureau. Metropolitan Manila Development Authority Traffic Chief Edison Bong de Bria said the incident has already been reported in their office and that the Parañaque Traffic Management Bureau is currently conducting an investigation on it. During an interview, de Bria explained that traffic law enforcers are not allowed to confiscate the key of the vehicle of an apprehended motorist except when the motorist plans to escape from the apprehension.
Hindi po allowed yan unless that there is really a intention to flee. Universal po yan, kahit sa ibang bansa ginagawa na kinukuha po yung susi bago pa po makadisgrasya ulit yung motorista. But then again, in this case, judgment call ho siguro nung enforcer na kunin yung susi. Maybe he seems or he deems na yung motorista ay baka tatakbo. But nonetheless, sir, hindi po kailangan po yan palaging ginagawa, hindi po yan SOP.
The thing that is worrisome for Nebrija is if the enforcer threatened the motorist. Nebrija also clarified that there is nothing wrong with taking a video of such incident since this can be used as evidence when they conduct investigations. But Nebrija also appeals to the public that documentation must be done accordingly so the truth may come out and the MMDA can decide who should be held responsible for the incident.
Mga enforcers din namin, we also encourage them to document their apprehension. Para sa ganon, kung babalik na rin kami, may ebidensya kami na tama yung ginawa namin. But on the case of the motorist na binibideo niya, we also encourage that, sir, sa MMDA na videoan yung mga enforcer namin. Just that, not to the point na you will be harassing. Tama po yun. Not to the point of you are harassing or you will be disrupting the apprehension itself.
The said viral video was posted by Chester Obligacion on his Facebook account that has gained around 100,000 shares and some 9,000 views as of today. The UNTV news team has yet to know the identity of the traffic law enforcer and the motorist on the video. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
In other news, Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Xiao Jinhua, on Monday said Filipino fishermen can continue fishing in the West Philippine Sea. However, he reminded local fisher folks of certain limits in the disputed areas. The Chinese ambassador made the remark amid reports that Chinese Coast Guards drove away Filipino fishers from the Panatag Shoal, a traditional Filipino fishing ground within the Philippines' 370-kilometer exclusive economic zone. Malacanang, on the other hand, said the government has already filed a diplomatic protest to China over a report that there were 617 Chinese vessels circling Pag-asa Island.
Are concerned of the livelihoods of fishermen from both sides. I think if they can fish in the areas where they can catch fish, they can go. But there are some concerns from each side to how far they can go and to what extent they can go near to the islands and reefs that we have people there. So there are certain kind of limits that I think both sides are observing. In general, fishing can go on as usual.
An initial estimate of around 152,000 households will be enjoying this full waiver of their March consumption, which will be reflected in the bill they will receive in April, according to Manila Water. The water concessionaire added, however, the full waiver does not apply to any previous unpaid amount of the customer. Manila Water customers in Barangays Addition Hills, Barangka Drive, Plainview, Highway Hills, and Hulo in Mandaluyong City, Kapitolyo, Bagong Ilog, and Oranbo in Pasig City, Upper Bikutan in Taguig City, and Mambog in Binangon and Rizal will enjoy a full waiver of their monthly bill, meaning they will pay zero charges. Barangays included on the list are validated by Manila Water, though there are some others which remain unannounced. This as there are places severely affected but not the entire barangay, Manila Waters clarified.
Kaya natin binavalidate, kaya hindi natin mailabas yun. Kasi baka mamaya isipin ng mga tao na taga-tandang sora ako, so wala ako dapat na bayaran. Hindi ganon.
The National Power Corporation, or NPC, has expressed concern over the condition of Binga Dam located in Itogon, Benguet Province. This is because the water storage capacity of Binga Dam continues to decline. Binga Hydroelectric Plant can produce even less power. The Binga Dam originally impounded a volume of 95 million cubic meters of water, but this year it can only store up to 18 million cubic meters. 59 years since its construction in 1960, and after several rehabilitations, the Binga Hydroelectric Plant could generate up to 132 megawatts of power. But now it can supply only 130 megawatts to Luzon grid, according to the NPC.
Over the years, ang dam natin napupuno na siya ng sediment, yung mga naaanod na mga putik, mga buhangin, graba, naiipon siya doon sa ilalim ng dam. Tubig, nandun lang siya sa ibabaw, pero wala na siyang storage sa capacity.
The Philippines Competition Commission, or PCC, has accepted the request of the Department of Agriculture, or DA, to look into surfacing issues on onion. This is in connection with the alleged cartel of onion cold storages, in which cold storage owners favor big-time dealers than local farmers. Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol said that cold storages play a vital role for farmers so that the shelf life of their produce can be prolonged, allowing them to sell onions during lean months. The PCC will assess if the country has enough cold storages, as there is oversupply of onion. After the assessment, PCC can move to investigate if the situation needs their mandate to enter the scene. A new era will go into effect on the 1st of May, a day after the Emperor Akihito makes way for his eldest son, Crown Prince Naruhito. Pauline Pico will tell us why.
The reign of Japan's next emperor will be known as the Reiwa era, after the new imperial name was unveiled before an expectant nation on Monday morning. People across Japan paused as the name, or Gengo, was announced after months of secret deliberations, with the final choice known only to a select group of experts and senior politicians. Yoshihide Suga, the chief cabinet secretary, unveiled the era name live on TV. The new name is made up of the two characters for order or command and peace or harmony.
The meaning behind the name of Reiwa is that culture is born and nourished as people's heart are drawn beautifully together.
The era name, or Gengo, is used widely in Japan, on coins, calendars, newspapers, and in official paperwork. Although use of the Western calendar has become widespread, many Japanese count years by Gengo or use the two systems interchangeably. Following the announcement, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said the government approved Reiwa. the characters from the Manyoshu, an ancient collection of Japanese poetry, as the best gengo to show hopes for the new era. There have been 4 era names in Japan's modern history: Meiji from 1868 to 1912, Taisho 1912 to 1926, Showa 1926 to 1989, and the current Heisei, meaning achieving peace. Naruhito's ascension to the chrysanthemum throne will come a day after his father, Emperor Akihito, abdicates on April 30, ending the Heisei era, which began in 1989. Akihito will be the first emperor to abdicate in Japan in over 2 centuries. Pauline Nampico, UNTV News and Rescue, Tokyo, Japan.
The Hong Kong government has proposed to grant the city's leader powers to extradite fugitives to mainland China. Rights activists say China critics could be subject to torture and unfair persecution there. Ferdy Petalio explains why.
Thousands of demonstrators in Hong Kong took to the streets on Sunday to oppose local authorities' plans to change extradition laws, fearing an erosion of personal freedom and the city's status as an international business hub. Protesters marched while shouting slogans and carrying banners against the proposed legal changes, which would grant the city's leader executive power to send fugitives to jurisdictions not covered by existing arrangements, including mainland China and Taiwan.
The extradition amendment not only affects Hong Kongers, but also foreigners who live here or pass through here.
Hong Kong Civil Human Rights Front convener Jimmy Sham said he feared the legislation could eventually result in the United States revoking the city's special trading status. The government said last week it will present the amendments to local legislators on April 3. The planned changes have been strongly opposed by some lawmakers, legal and rights groups, as well as members of the city's business community.
Perhaps in the worst scenario, activists might be jailed in mainland China.
The demonstration drew 12,000 people, said organizers. The police said 5,200 people showed up at the protest peak. Ferdy Petalio, UNTV News and Rescue, Hong Kong.
The Arab League has rejected the United States' recognition of Israeli sovereignty over the occupied Golan Heights. Meanwhile, Turkey's main opposition party and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's ruling party both claim victory in the neck-to-neck race in Istanbul. Here's Jovic Permas to tell us why.
In Turkey, Turkey's Recep Tayyip Erdogan has suffered a blow in local elections, with his party losing control of the capital Ankara and an opposition party also claiming victory in Istanbul. The election came amid an economic downturn and was widely seen as a referendum on his leadership. More than 57 million people in the country were registered to vote for mayors and councillors. Erdogan had previously said the poll was about the survival of the country and his party, which has dominated Turkish politics for 16 years. In Ukraine, a comedian with no political experience has won the most votes in the first round of Ukraine's presidential elections, according to exit polls. They say Volodymyr Zelensky, who plays the president on TV, got 30.4%, with current leader Petro Poroshenko on 17.8%. Early results confirm this. The two, who have expressed largely pro-EU opinions, are set to take part in a runoff election next month. In Belgium, police said an estimated 70 protesters were arrested after a European Commission building was vandalized in Belgium on Sunday. The incident occurred during the Rise for Climate March, which saw thousands of demonstrators taking to the streets to urge politicians to take action against climate change. As the march passed a European Commission building, several masked protesters threw objects which smashed the windows. Local media reported around 8,000 joined the march. And in Tunisia, Arab leaders said on Sunday they would seek a UN Security Council resolution against the US decision to recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights and promised to support Palestinians in their bid for statehood. Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Gate was critical of United States, saying that the decision to recognize Israeli sovereignty over Golan had no value. U.S. President Donald Trump signed a proclamation last week recognizing the Golan Heights as part of Israel, which annexed the area in 1981 after capturing it from Syria in 1967. Syria's seat at the summit was vacant. Damascus has been suspended from the league since 2011 over its crackdown on protesters at the start of its civil war. So far, no consensus has yet been reached to allow Syria's reinstatement, according to the Arab League. Jovic Burmas, UNTV News and Rescue.
China has the first large-scale spectrum telescope. The progress of its survey and scientific research results has attracted widespread concerns and interest of the international astronomical community. Kath Dumaraos will tell us why.
In its sixth data release of DR6 on March 27, the Large Sky Area Multi-Object Fiber Spectroscopic Telescope has obtained 11.26 million spectra of celestial objects over the past 7 years. The world's first spectral survey project that has obtained more than 10 million spectra, according to the information released by the National Astronomical Observatory of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Among the released spectra are 9.37 million high-quality spectra, twice the total obtained by other astronomic surveys internationally. There are also 6.37 million stellar spectra, creating the largest stellar parameter catalog in the world. Spectra are the key to astronomers in reading the celestial bodies' chemical compositions, densities, atmospheres, and magnetism.
There's a huge amount of information in the data, and the physical information in it requires the incessant digging by many astronomers. This is of great important value for us to know the structure and evolution of the galaxy.
Until now, LAMOST is the first project obtaining more than 10 million spectra worldwide, which is twice the released spectra number of the other spectral survey project in the world. Until now, there are 769 LAMOST users from 124 research institutes and universities from China, the United States, Germany, Belgium, and other countries to carry out scientific research. The telescope is located in the Xinglong Observatory of the National Astronomical Observatory of the Chinese Academy of Sciences in North China's Hebei province. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
A tutoring school hides behind superhero supply store in New York where kids learn to write poetry and superhero stories. Abby Valdez will tell us why.
In Brooklyn, New York, capes of all colors flutter and cans containing superpowers all waiting to be tried on and unleashed at the Brooklyn Superhero Supply Company. The store is a purveyor of goods and merchandise for the real-world superhero. It is also the public entryway for A26 NYC, a youth writing organization. A26 NYC Executive Director Joshua Mendelbaum said,
in the after-school program that we host here, we've seen some of these students 5-10 years, and there's that natural development, but there are some who just really step into that role of I really love writing poetry, or I really love writing fiction, and they own it, and they're amazing.
Tutors give one-on-one attention in this after-school classroom to students from the age of 6 through 18. The kids get help with their homework and work on their creative writing after.
I feel like my writing get better because I used to write, this was kind of like when I was in 5th grade. I used to write one sentence and be fine with it, but now I just write more.
I like it because it's fun, and also sometimes when we finish our homework we get to do something that we want, like play games, read, or begin to write.
A26 NYC's tutoring program serves the under-resourced community. Their workshops and after-school program are free to families who meet specific qualifications.
We do believe that, writing brings out your inner superhero, that you're a creator. I think there's also a great history of superheroes who are writers. Clark Kent is a journalist. And I think
really that serves as a little bit of the inspiration.
826 Valencia has grown from a storefront establishment into a national non-profit organization, 826 National, with locations in San Francisco, Los Angeles, New Orleans, Chicago, Michigan, Boston, Washington, D.C., and New York. Abby Valdez, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news this April 1st, 2019. On behalf of Vina Villamor Camara and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo. And before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
I understand we have already issued the diplomatic protest per the Western Command. The DFA has already made the diplomatic protest over it. That incident on the so-called vessels being stationed there
are concerned of the livelihoods of fishermen from both sides. I think if they can fish in the areas where they can catch fish, they can go. But there are some concerns from each side to how far they can go and to what extent they can go near to the islands and reefs that we have people there. So there are certain kind of limits that I think both sides are observing. In general, fishing can go on as usual.
Over the years, ang dam natin napupuno na siya ng sediment, yung mga naaanod na mga putik, mga buhangin, graba, naiipon siya doon sa ilalim ng dam. Tubig nandun lang siya sa ibabaw, pero wala na siyang storage sa capacity.
The people subject of a search warrant have been identified as suspects in certain ambushes, assassination attempts. So it's police operation and backed up by documents. And the courts believe in them. And that's why they issue these warrants.
We have more than 200 search warrants approved. Kaya lang mga 30% ang nag-negative pero 70% ang positive. So there will be another round. There will be another week-long operation that will be conducted by the PNP-CIDG comes prior to the conduct of the midterm selection.
The meaning behind the name of Raiwa is that culture is born and nourished as people's heart are drawn beautifully together.